on this very cold London Thursday, and welcome to For the Record with DJ Abass. This week we decided to go very extra special, and I'm going to be having a sit down with two very important African creatives. They've been right at the top of their game for between 2 to 3 decades, depending on how they decide to plug it in. I've known of them for forever. People actually admire, and I just thought, yeah, today let's do a very special edition. First guest on the show is an architect, and he'll get to explain it better, but I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Tope Abulude, architect, event designer, and balloonist. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I've known you for forever.
Yeah.
Partly in a professional capacity as well, and I've always, even as far back as I'm thinking, how does this man do this thing he does with balloons, It's because it's something you just think, it's a balloon, really. It's a balloon. But what you do with balloons, and knowing you also now made me realize it's actually quite a very huge industry, much bigger than I ever imagined. And we'll talk about your journey into that. So thanks for coming on the show.
No, it's my pleasure.
So, first thing I'll ask is, how did you get into the balloon game?
Yeah, that's the
and you
question.
probably have a life before that, but
Yeah.
how did you get into the balloon game?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier I studied architecture
Yes.
at University of Lagos.
Okay.
And it started while I was in university, and it was just something you do then to earn a little bit of extra cash,
And how did you do that then?
Well, my roommate then,
He was in Nigeria, right?
he was in Nigeria
Yeah.
at the moment. He's a landscape architect as well. We were classmates, but we were also roommates.
Okay.
And he just said to me, look, I've got this wedding to do. Do you want to come help out?
When was this, if you don't mind me?
This was my, I think, 3rd year in university.
Okay.
Yeah.
90s? 80s?
Yeah. 88-ish,
okay.
thereabouts. And so he just said, yeah, come around. So I went over, we put some things together, we did this wedding, it was a success. And yeah, it just sort of started building on from there, because we made
So what would you do at the time? Just kind of blow balloons and hang them up?
Well, interestingly, it wasn't balloons then.
Okay.
It was just anything we could lay our hands on. Being students of architecture, we could make anything.
Okay.
So we would
event
make,
designing,
yes,
so to say.
yes. So we would use fabric, we would use, we'd make these really huge, large fans. Just really, paper, anything to decorate the balloons were not, I didn't know about balloons then. And so right after I graduated, I came over to live in London, and I went to my first wedding within like 4 weeks of arriving here.
Nigerian wedding?
Yeah, it was a Nigerian
Okay.
wedding. It could well have been Lagos, I tell
Okay.
you.
No, trust me, we move with all our baggages.
Yeah,
now.
absolutely. And so the first 4 weeks, I went to this wedding. I saw this beautiful balloon arch, and I thought, wow, I can do this. I'm pretty sure.
But you had never done it at the time.
I'd never done it.
Okay.
I'd never done it. So I went to start to find out, how do you get on, how do you, get to learn about this. And I went to the flower market, which was in Vauxhall, met a chap called Danny.
Okay.
And of course, I remember his name, Danny, in Eltham. And he just showed me 3 hours. He just said, this is how you make a column, this is how you make an arch, this is how you make a bow. And that's where my journey started, really.
An arch, a column, and a bow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 3 hours.
Okay.
Everything. He showed me.
Did you
in 3
pay for that?
hours. Yeah,
material?
I paid £50.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid £50 for that. And since then, I've just sort of, because when I do things, I go head first.
Okay.
And so after that, I did a few weddings here and there. And I just decided to find out what seminar I could attend. And the first one I saw was the European Balloon Convention in Paris.
Okay.
So I went for that, Couldn't afford it, still don't know how I did it.
I'm thinking then, because I probably met you probably sometime in the 90s, late 90s.
Yeah, late. It must have
or
been
early
late.
millennium,
Yeah,
thereabout,
yes, yes,
And
yes.
at that time, you had come into your own because
Yeah.
it's like, So they'll say, oh, DJ Abass, so Tope Abulude is the one doing the balloons of Lagos. Your name was like kind of like out there. So you had pretty much arrived at the time, you know. So I'm thinking.
Oh, I don't think I've arrived even now.
No. Well, as in you were a brand at the time.
Yeah.
And at that time,
Yeah.
that far back, what you were doing I had never seen anywhere. Ever. You know. So I'm thinking if you were able to do so much at that time, you know, because you were so far ahead, you know, and it was just, I don't even like to describe you as a balloonist. It's like I'm shortchanging you if I, you know, that's how I could say it's an architect.
Well, I'm a designer.
Exactly.
You know, and I would use anything, you know, so it's just balloons was a medium I chose to use to express my art and my designs. So that's the way I see it.
Do you feel more people probably introduce you as a balloonist as opposed to an event designer within our community, so to say?
I think a lot of people like labels. They put labels and stuff like that.
Human nature,
yeah, it's human nature. I just don't.
Are you cool with that?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
You know, I know who I am.
But does it limit you in a way?
No, absolutely not.
It doesn't.
I think the key thing is here knowing who I am.
Okay.
You know, and what I bring to the table. And if you then don't.
I mean, in terms of business, because I would, and even in doing this program, you know, and I just realized I went on your page and okay, you know, event designer, okay, that covers everything, really, you know, and the balloon is just an aspect because obviously you clearly do much more, more than that. But for me, the balloon, what you've done with balloons is like, wow, it's wow. And I put it on the page, oh, it's coming on the show. I go like, oh my God, that guy, you know, he does stuff, you know. You came from Nigeria to the UK.
Yes.
Has your job taken you back to Nigeria at any point?
Yeah, I work in Nigeria often.
Okay.
I do. I mean, obviously not everyone can afford it, but you know, when I sometimes we can,
or they can afford you, or is it a bit of both?
I do. I try not to look at the. It's. No, I'm not expensive because obviously people bring me out
exactly,
to do it.
You'd be out of work if you're expensive.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people.
But you know, when you look at it as well, expensive is relative, isn't it?
Very,
you know, so it's like, yeah, some people may not be able to afford it,
indeed,
and I, you know, I get that, and I would help them in as much as I can. Probably send them to people because I've got staff in Nigeria now who have worked with me for so many years. So if someone called me and said, would like something, but we can afford to pay for a ticket to go, I would say, look, I've got a couple of people who would do something for you.
Which is more challenging, an event in Nigeria or here? Events in Nigeria tend to be much bigger.
Yes.
I go to events in Nigeria and I see huge columns of drapes, and I'm thinking like, how did they accomplish this? You know, I never see events like that in the UK. You know, the average size event in the UK is probably 200 to 250, maximum 300 on average. Yeah. So, which is Nigeria more challenging?
I think the challenge in Nigeria, the challenges I've faced in Nigeria with events have to do mostly with timekeeping.
Okay.
You know, so if you ask staff to turn up at a particular time, you know, you may not get them turning up at that time. Okay. You know, so that I find that quite challenging because, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I'm a stickler for time. You know, it's very important to me. It's something. It's a currency that, no matter how rich you are or how poor you are, we've got the same. Yeah, it's 24 hours in a day. You've got it. You know,
how do you use it?
How do you use it? And that for me is very important. You know, so yeah, that's a major challenge I have working in Nigeria.
And in terms of the industry, in the last 20 years, it appears the events industry has exploded.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And you go just on social media, so Instagram, Facebook, people are doing amazing things, you know. And it's like the creative juice. And I tell everybody, I even tell people I know in government, I say, look, you know what a lot of people are asking, especially young people, you just want to be empowered, enabled, you know, make data free, make some things available and watch them flourish. So
absolutely.
The entertainment and events, you know, industry sector has done very, very well. Now, if you were based in Nigeria, and you're doing great here, but if you were based in Nigeria, what would you be doing differently?
What would I be doing differently? I think I will be training probably a lot more.
Okay.
So
you have a school, a college of some sort, or you do You do train?
I do train. I do seminars,
Okay.
one-on-ones and stuff like that. I do that even here around the world. But I think in Nigeria, I think we need to get more people to understand that it's an art, and you have to work it for it to work. So it's not just about, attending a seminar once and thinking that you're a professional.
Okay.
I think part of my longevity in the business has been to do with constantly reinventing myself.
At every point.
At every point, seeing what needs to change. How do I move into the next, how do I move into the next?
It's allowed, don't worry.
I'm so sorry. Shall I just put it off?
No,
yeah.
You have 5 seconds. That's the beauty of the kind of show we do. So, we can get away with it here. Okay. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So, you were saying?
Yeah. So,
training.
Yeah, training is very key, and I talked about reinventing oneself, which is something I believe we need to do a lot as Nigerians. And interestingly, you're bringing that up.
And that was a while back. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, this was 2010 for the World Balloon Convention in Texas.
Is that like the Oscars of the?
That's that's the Academy Awards of the balloon industry.
And that's the kind of impression that, because I said like, this guy is a big guy. This guy is doing big stuff. Or this guy has been doing. He's going to the Oscar of balloons, and I think he did something in Eastern Europe at the time as well.
Yeah.
Something around then.
Yeah.
But this is humongous.
Yeah.
How long would it take to put that together?
I had a really good team working with me on this.
You took them from the UK?
No.
Okay.
Because obviously we're working at the World Balloon Convention. Every who in the balloon industry in the world attended. You have the Canadians, you have the British, the Taiwanese, the Japanese, and stuff like that.
Who are naturally also
very good,
creative people.
Very creative. And what I did or do when I've got this type of projects is I've formed a good network around the world.
Okay.
So I can put a team together, and you have also they've got staff who come in and will help make sure the event is delivered on time.
So what happens at the convention? It's just like all balloonists come and you just do your stuff and
it's a seminar. It's seminars and competitions.
Okay.
And that's how when I started, what got me noticed was the first few years I was doing competitions.
Okay.
Yeah, and I won a few of them. So that just sort of gets your name out there, gets people notice you, and
That for somebody's.
This was for a bat mitzvah. As a Jewish bat mitzvah for a girls' event. Was it last year or it was last year, I think. Yeah.
Out of the top of your head,
yes.
How much would this cost? Can you let that cut out of the bag? Just this segment, and I know this is just like an entrance, is it, into the main? How much would that cost?
This was just the entrance.
Can you how many zeros?
Respect to the person who paid for it. Okay. I sort of maintain a confidentiality. Yeah.
I thought maybe I could just drag that out. Yeah. But this is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
The first thing I also learned, because I'm an events person as well, and when I started going to Nigeria, especially to the big events, I just realized that perhaps it's because fast backtrack. There was a time I went to Nigeria to do an event, and a photographer from the UK was also engaged, and it was his first time he was going to Nigeria, so he gave them a quote. And the day we arrived, we went to check out the event. He realized, I've given them the wrong photo. I would need extra hands to cover this and that. So I think in Nigeria lends itself to a lot of size.
Yeah.
And this is something I would see perhaps more in Nigeria than here in terms of the sizing of it. So I'm thinking, this is quite.
Yeah, I sometimes work with the event organizers, and it's really good sometimes because they can be the middleman between me and the client, and so I just give him my quote.
What percentage of you being an architect helps with this?
Oh, a lot, because 6 years of design.
Okay.
You know, I spent 6 years learning the principles and elements of design, which actually runs right through every sort of creative industry.
Indeed, yeah.
You know, I know you're going to be speaking to Mr. Jones
Yes,
later,
indeed,
and
yeah.
you know, I'm pretty sure he touched
Very
on
much so, yeah.
the principles and elements of design
Yes.
in when he was studying
Indeed,
as well.
yeah.
So that carries a really big part somewhere there in my head. So things that people who come into the balloon industry, I take those things for granted because it's just a part and parcel of me. I can look at something.
Is that the edge you have?
I would say so, you know. I would say it's an edge for me. You know, being able to look at something, know if the coloring is correct, the massing of the different objects, if it's correct, texture, understanding texture, use
Can you
of
teach
color.
that?
You can teach it, but, you know, obviously, like I said, I studied it for 6 years. It kept being pounded into me through my master's degree, from my first degree through my master's degree. So it just comes naturally at some point, yes.
Yeah.
But you can teach it.
How much of that can you impart into a student coming to you to say, okay, you know what, I want to dedicate 6 months of my life to hanging around you, learning this? How much of that can you impart into them?
You can impart. It's then up to that student to go on learning.
Fly from there.
Yeah. I never stop learning. You know, if you give me 5 minutes with Mr. Jones, I'm gonna milk him for what what he's got. You know, in terms of experience, knowledge. You know, and I would learn from anyone. You know, if we start talking about things, I would learn from you. You know, I see myself as a student always. I want to sap.
Is it a mentality to have in this game?
Oh, absolutely. I think not just in this game. You know it as well. In your industry,
you learn every day.
You learn every day. You're constantly finding out what's new. You know, I think the masters of today. You have to become students of tomorrow. Otherwise, you get left behind.
Oh, I'm gonna go and frame that and hang it. That makes a lot of sense. So now look at the events industry in the UK.
Yeah.
And you're well positioned in that industry. It's what's next? Because if I were to look at the eras, you know, we've just talked about, we've seen what you've been working well pretty much ahead of time. So, what would be your dream event?
I think a dream event for me would be probably something in Buckingham Palace.
What would you do there that they've not done before, without letting go in too much?
What would I do? I would bring my stamp into it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that, I mean, there have been great, designers in there. But what I tend to leave on my work is my stamp, a balloon inspirations experience. And that's I would leave a part of me there. My work will be remembered.
And you've done quite a lot of huge. Because I was trying to tell somebody, like, I said, I can't describe this guy enough.
It's really interesting. A lot of people, because when they don't understand what I do. So when people introduce me and stuff, I just say, go and look on my Instagram page. Because that's easy.
That will tell your story.
Yeah, that would tell,
I can't describe this guy well enough, because it's so far. And also because I'm not just knowing you now, I've known you for quite.
You've seen me grow.
You've seen me grow, and it's just like, at every point, it's just like,
something new, something different.
So are you? And the beauty in this game, creatives don't retire. That's the beauty of it. I was sneaking through Mr. Jones's page as well earlier today, and I saw him post something about Karl Lagerfeld. I think Karl died at 90 or 95. Or thereabout, He
was always working,
that man, till he died,
he was designing.
He was always on point. It almost, I'll probably get that when I see with Mr. Jones. So, but like you said, it's a thread running through creatives in terms of look and feel. So, in terms of all this knowledge you have right now, I want to zone in on how often do you do your training programs, and who can be eligible?
Well, I still get invited to seminars around the world. In fact, in next week, I'm supposed to go to the African Balloon Convention.
Okay.
Which is
The African Oscars.
Well,
balloons.
in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah, it's happening in Lagos, and that's
Who's organizing that?
is a lady called Mrs. Fumi Omoyele.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the industry too,
In the
obviously?
industry, yeah. She is doing a good job, and I sort of assisting her and bringing a couple of my friends from Asia. Well, one from Taiwan and one from Hong Kong. So, you know, just to let Nigerians see the possibilities as far as balloons are concerned. So even in the industry, there's people have special areas. You know, these guys really
Even
specialize.
in the balloon industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They specialize with making sculptures and stuff like that. And you know, we want to give Nigerians a taste of what, you know, of different.
And for those residents in the UK who are watching now, who probably like to, what can they do? When is your next event, or how can they reach you?
You can always contact. They can always contact me through Instagram.
Okay.
I respond to my messages.
Balloon
I do
Inspirations.
balloon inspirations. Or
and you're also on YouTube as
I'm
well.
on YouTube. I've got Facebook. I've got LinkedIn as well.
You're everywhere.
Yeah.
Just Google Tope Abulude, and you'll find all you need. I can't thank you enough for coming on.
No, it's
thank
an
you
absolute
so
pleasure
much.
for having me.
I've always
Thank
wanted
you.
to do. I'm just thinking, you know, because my previous show before now was a music show.
Yes.
I always thought anytime once I start to do a show that's kind of like it's lifestyle, I have to sit down with this guy. You know, it's just. And thanks for coming.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you very much for having me.
Awesome. My next guest is another legend in the game. And trust me, the day he gave me an outfit, I will tell him how many times I've worn that outfit. I've not stopped. Maybe he's come with another one. Maybe he'll surprise me. We're going on a break. When we come back, we'll be meeting Mr. Jones.